Behind me, the session of special parliament that the government announced a few days ago. This is what's going to be our top story. Some of the controversy that has surrounded it, this was after the government, remember, formed a 8-member panel that they said was going to investigate and look at the realistic ability to implement one nation, one poll. Now, apart from that, there is also significant buzz over the possibility of a women's reservation bill. Those are two very separate stories that have garnered very different reactions from the opposition. Let's take a look first at the women's reservation bill, with Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar recently making a big remark. He said that the day is not far when India's women in the parliament and state assemblies will have adequate representation. Now, the Vice President further said that we'll be a global power by 2047, but that if women's reservation takes place early, we'll be number one even before 2047. That set of comments is what has set people's tongues wagging when it comes to guesses as to what could take place in the special parliament session. And when it comes to the opposition here, Congress Chief Mallikarjun Kharge, the Samajwadi Party chief, they've all said that everyone must put aside their political differences when it comes to a women's reservation bill. One nation, one poll, however, that concept has not been received with similar open arms. The Congress is currently discussing whether or not they're even going to attend the session. We'll take a look at all of these eventualities. Take a look first at political reactions.
See, we have a brilliant opportunity in front of the country today. There has been a special session of the parliament called for various reasons. There are many speculations on what is going to be put up in this special parliamentary session. But for me and for the half population of this nation, in fact for the whole of the nation, the issue of women representation in parliament and assembly is of utmost importance. And with folded hands, I request all the political parties to kindly take up this issue and rise above the political partisanship. Take up this issue because this is one of the easiest bills to be passed. This current government doesn't have a comfortable majority in Rajya Sabha, but women's reservation bill is already passed in Rajya Sabha. So they just have to put it in the Lok Sabha and give the women's reservation bill.
I can tell you, वो दिन दूर नहीं है, बल्कि बहुत नजदीक है, जब अपने भारत में, इस महान देश में, संसद और विधानसभाओं में महिलाओं का उचित प्रतिनिधित्व है, संविधान में बदलाव कर आएगा. We will be a global power by 2047. But if this reservation takes place early, we will be number one even before 2047.
Vice President Dhankar has said that women will have adequate representation in parliament as well as state assemblies. Also, BRS MLC K Kavitha has requested Mallikarjun Kharge as well as Nitish Kumar and other top leaders to support this and to take this in top priority.
माननीय मुख्यमंत्री नीतीश कुमार जी तो महिला सशक्तिकरण के मामले में रोल मॉडल हैं, लेकिन भारतीय जनता पार्टी से यह उम्मीद करना ही बेमानी है. चूंकि राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ उनका मातृ संगठन है, आज तक महिला कोई सरसंघ चालक नहीं हुई और ये दस्तावेज हैं. देख लीजिए, सबसे कम हिस्सेदारी महिलाओं को मिलता कहां है? भारत में. विश्व गुरु बनने चले हैं, 50 दुर्गा मानते हैं. कैसे दुर्गा की आराधना करते हैं आप? जबकि माननीय नीतीश कुमार जी ने बेटियों के सशक्तिकरण का वह रोल मॉडल स्थापित किया कि आज देश में पुलिस बल में सबसे ज्यादा बेटी बिहार की, जीविका की दीदियों में जो समाज के कमजोर आर्थिक स्वावलंबन का रास्ता है, वह देश में सबसे अव्वल हम, 10 लाख हम, और उत्तर प्रदेश जैसा बड़ा राज्य में 1 लाख आजीविका इनका है. तो महिला सशक्तिकरण में तो रोल मॉडल है बिहार.
बिल इज पास इन राज्यसभा में पास हो गया है, लोकसभा में आना है, क्या फुल सपोर्ट रहेगा?
नहीं, पार्टी अपना नजरिया वहां रखेगी, लेकिन महिला विरोधी इनका आचरण रहा है. यहाँ तो महिला निर्वस्त्र होती है तब प्रधानमंत्री को जाने की हिम्मत नहीं होती है.
Okay, let's go for now to my colleague Pallavi to understand how the parties are preparing for the special session of the Parliament. Pallavi, can you just tell our audiences, we've explained to them the eventual possibility of two possible bills. One, of course, is the one we've been discussing over the last few days, One Nation, One Poll. The other is the possibility of a women's reservation bill. Pallavi, what I'm looking to understand from you is how opposition parties, particularly the INDIA alliance, how they're going to shape their strategy when early inklings are pointing to the fact that their reception of these bills is possibly going to be very different. Open arms for one, but possibly not even attending Parliament for the other.
Well, I mean, no decision has been taken about not attending the Parliament, but on One Nation, One Poll, you're absolutely correct. The opposition unity is something which seems to be intact. In fact, later tonight, there's going to be a meeting or at Kharge's residence where all political parties are going to be attending it of the India Front. They've all registered their protests on One Nation, One Poll. But should the government introduce this along with the women reservation bill, I think there's going to be an issue-based support. On the women reservation bill, the Congress certainly cannot seem to be opposing it because Sonia Gandhi had got it passed in Rajya Sabha in 2010. She's written a letter to the Prime Minister a year back saying that this bill should also be cleared. Similar is the case with TMC, JDU, and women voters matter a lot now for especially 2024 Lok Sabha elections. So I think it's going to be different strokes for different bills.
Pallavi, can you just tell our audiences, with One Nation, One Poll, we've seen the opposition INDIA alliance say that it makes strategic sense why the BJP has planned it now, and they very much criticized the BJP for setting up that special session. But if it were to be the women's reservation bill that were discussed, would they essentially in one fell swoop mute what the INDIA has to say?
No, as I just pointed out, when it comes to the women's reservation bill, I don't think the opposition parties will be able to oppose it. I mean, which is why there are going to be different strokes for different of these bills. On One Nation, One Poll, it's quite possible when this bill comes up for debate and discussion, these parties either walk out or they express a reservation on the floor of the House. For a women reservation bill, the Congress certainly would want to take the credit by saying that we were the ones who got it passed in Rajya Sabha. And now with K Kavitha, the BRS, reaching out to other political parties, this is a bill which becomes very, very critical for the Lok Sabha elections, also for them to prove a point. The BJP certainly would want to prove a point. So I don't think on the women reservation bill you're going to see any different voices. There's also a possibility that if this bill is actually brought up, the government may actually replace the earlier bill which was cleared in 2010, bring in some more features which talks about 33% reservation for women as far as Lok Sabha and various assemblies are concerned.
Just tell us, Pallavi, though, a number of our audience members are also asking this next question. What is the reason for the timing in this case? You said the BJP would be able to prove a point if this were to get passed. What would that point be?
Toya, I remember I was very much there when this bill was brought up with much drama in Rajya Sabha and it was cleared there at that point of time. I remember Sonia Gandhi in an interview to me had very categorically accepted the fact and lamented the fact also that not just the RJD or the Samajwadi Party which were her allies, but some within her own party had reservation about the bill. The RJD and the Samajwadi Party had reservation over the fact that the OBCs and there should be a sub-reservation in the reservation and there should be a special place made for the OBCs and the scheduled castes as well. It had seen a huge point of drama with papers being torn up and so forth. This is something which the BJP will certainly like to remind these opposition parties if it comes up for debate and discussion and make the point, look, when it came out in 2010, many within the Congress party, SP, RJD, all of them had opposed it, and today you want to support it because you have sniffed them to be a woman vote bank.
Okay, Pallavi, thank you for explaining that to our audiences. Let me just take them now to what it is the different opposition parties have had to say. We were saying right now that opposition parties in the INDIA alliance have largely welcomed this with open hands. Take a look at the Samajwadi Party's Fakhrul Hasan Chand.
देखिए, महिला रिजर्वेशन बिल पे जहां तक कविता जी का पत्र का सवाल है, समाजवादी पार्टी हमेशा से महिला रिजर्वेशन बिल के समर्थन में रही है। 1996 में स्वर्गीय अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी की सरकार से ये बिल संसद में पेंडिंग है। समाजवादी पार्टी की पुरानी मांग है कि महिला रिजर्वेशन बिल में कुछ संशोधन किए जाए और आने वाले समय में जब बिल में कुछ संशोधन हो जाएंगे तो समाजवादी पार्टी समझती है कि महिला रिजर्वेशन बिल को पास करने में कहीं कोई दिक्कत नहीं आनी चाहिए।